Old Redditors, what's a must-know story of Reddit new users should know? Get a carbon monoxide detector. The guy who was leaving post-it notes in his sleep? That's the one. When a Redditor asked for help because the language on their screen changed to Spanish. And everyone replied to it in Spanish. Reddit.com then ops update was hilarious update, so I wake up this morning to about 1,500 replies in my inbox that I cannot read. And then I run them through Google Translator and most of them say stuff like the dog is in my pants and where is the library? Thanks, Reddit. Even a duckin' admin jumped in on that shit, lol. The admin showed up with the correct information, but of course in Spanish. TBF Hess gotta dig through some Spanish to get to the correct button. The lady that owned a wedding cake store and secretly only used boxed cake mix from the grocery in all her cakes. She said she hated making cakes, but loved decorating them and everyone seemed to like the cakes anyway. She still updates the post last I checked. Link for you, old.reddit.com. Damn, after 9 years and still updating. That person must hold the record of the longest active comment. If you find an old safe in your house, you must get into it and show us. At all cost. It's almost never a total anticlimax. Has there ever been anything interesting in the safe? Besides a spider in one, the Og safe guy, Secrete safe, ended up opening his Oprah deal fell through, and it contained 13 pennies. The safe was found hidden in his dad's casino. The thought the former owner hid money in it, then the one that was rigged to blow up by a grenade if opened, it had child porn. Edit, safe grenade. Wait, what the duck with that last one? Okay, that last one took a wild turn. A sense of pride and accomplishment. It is the most downvoted comment of all time, and it was made by an EA rep. Comment link, reddit.com. I don't remember this, but apparently I downvoted EA and upvoted a lot of comments shitting on them. 4 years later and EA still haven't learned anything. If there's ever a bombing attack, don't assume Reddit will solve the case. That whole Reddit Boston bomber incident was far more shameful and disturbing than a lot of the other examples in this thread. Truly abhorrent behavior. The guy who tried heroin, I think, and documented his journey from non-addict to addict to recovery. There's also the post-it note guy who kept finding post-its in his apartment. Edit, kind people in replies of this comment might have linked. The post-it note one is legendary, such a wild story of dude finding cryptic post-it notes all around his apartment in this unraveling surreal mystery where he thought his landlord was ducking with him and breaking in his apartment and even emulating his handwriting. Many comments dismiss the dude as mental delirious. Top comment goes wildcard and suggests he checked the batteries in his carbon monoxide alarm. Guy goes, ha yeah, it's not plugged in. Responds a few days later confirming he was being poisoned by a carbon monoxide leak. Also, he was writing the post-its himself but didn't remember due to the co-poisoning. His attempt to set up a webcam to catch the thief ended up being putting a webcam on a shelf, not plugged in, and making a folder on his computer desktop called webcam photos. When my ex-husband and I were still just dating and he was living with his grandma, he had a problem with sleepwalking, or maybe it's better described as not being fully conscious when he first wakes up, so he doesn't remember what he does. He also had severe anxiety and was worried that he was eating things he shouldn't during this and maybe accidentally poisoning himself. He set up the webcam in his room to be motion activated. Well, the first thing his sleepwalking self did was turn off the webcam, which just made the anxiety worse because he was like, what am I doing that I don't want me to see? Lamau. I'm dead. If that were me, I'd be so pissed at myself. Kevin. The guy who pretended he didn't know what a potato was. I need to read about this. Reddit.com. I am disappointed that no one mentioned the really big sub sandwich story. It was an IDA post about a guy who brought a very large sub to a party, wedding? Or some shit, ate the whole thing, everyone went TF off on him. It was one of my favorites, but I just searched for it and couldn't find it. Frown. Ha ha ha, I remember when this was posted I was on an RV trip with my husband and my grandparents and I read the post out loud to everyone and it's one of my fondest memories. We were absolutely cackling and my grandpa wouldn't stop referencing it for months after that. Well, that's not ducking sharing, is it, Alan? Edit. Another Ida post that my grandparents loved was the one where the girl gives an invitation to her wedding as a white elephant gift and is Pikachu surprised that no one wanted it. Ha 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 ha, I just woke my husband up laughing. Alan was a greedy ducker. The saga of recreep shots and how a student recognized his substitute teacher posting upskirts of teenaged classmates. Holy shit, I remember most of these but not this one. Do you have a link to a comment thread or a write-up? It was in the news, here's a link daily.com. Kevin. The student that never stood a chance. https www.reddit.com AskReddit comments 2 Redditors who's the dumbest person you've ever met? Attribution-ShareAlike. Around 2 years ago, I was in touch with Kevin's teacher, narrator of the story, unothered, and here's a screenshot of their response. No rickroll, I promise. How's our boy Kevin doing? If you don't wish to click on the link, the summary of it is that he is now married with a kid and has a house. He works as a sous chef at an upscale restaurant in his hometown. Good for him. Edit, changed owns to has. Doesn't make Kevin's story any less heartwarming, I hope. They trusted the Og Kevin with knives, fire and procreation? He was secretly good at all those things and no one knew all along. Like superpowers. No, he wasn't. Per the original, Kevin was removed from the culinary arts program after leaving a cutting board on the gas stove and starting a fire, twice. Good for him at eventually succeeding through the adversity though. The what's the worst thing someone has said you during sex? Talk dirty to me at temptreddit.com. Edit, typo. Roses are red, sex talk is hard. The time James Corden did a Reddit and just got blasted in the comments for literal hours. Makes me laugh every time. A lot of it is repetitive cringe, but in between there is absolute gold. Like, ever thought about coming back to the UK? And if so, what can we do to stop you? The guy who got drunk and did an asking himself his own questions in the comments then answering them himself. There was this girl from the Solomon Islands. Used to live in a tiny village or settlement, on a small island there. Used to get around on canoes, and live in primitive little self-made huts. She'd sometimes go to Brisbane, where I think she had studied or visited a while. She just showed all of us what island life was like, removed from modern conveniences of restaurants, supermarkets, cars and stress. I loved seeing her photos and reading about her life there. Does anyone else remember this girl from the Solomon Islands? How to take care of your son when he's broke both of his arms. I wish you didn't remind me of this. Poop knife, reddit.com. We all want that guy's wife. Edit, yes. Dead wife. That guy's dead wife. By the way, this Redditor is still active and doing well. I remember someone posted a similar question on AskReddit and he was tagged. Came in and talked a bit about his life. This was important to me as I felt bad for the man. Edit, here you have all. www.reddit.com AskReddit comments 1 needs comment 3v6bq. Source share it medium web 2's context 3 This man seems to be a truly good person, please do not disturb him tagging him or asking him about this, as it happens every few months and we may hurt him. Swamps of Dagoba Edit, thanks for the shinies, glad we're all suffering together. Swamps, Edit, sorry not sorry, someone asked and it's not fair to keep this kind of story to ourselves. I'd say test post, please ignore. I'm a very old Redditor, this isn't my first account, and I remember this post fondly. At the time it had 10k upvotes I think, and back then that was unheard of. I refuse to believe that was 12 years ago. The guy who wanted to leave his wife who posted to relationship advice, but was worried about how she'd react. Reddit told him to stop being a pussy, so he told her it was over, then she killed both their kids. It wasn't that long ago but. When Rick got rickrolled. https www.reddit.com Repix comment shosp 5 found a foo funny memories during lockdown 505w1 source share it media miosapit nam iosm context 3. My man made it to Time magazine for Rick rolling Rick.